We are back with a family tragedy in Prince George's County. A 15-year-old boy is accused of killing his mother and 8-year-old brother.
His father was also shot last night, and in a Fox 5 exclusive, our Sierra Fox spoke with him. Well, this is where investigators say a 15-year-old boy shot and killed his own mother and brother.
Now, Prince George's County has its spots. It's got some very rough hoods. I mean, it got some hoods that can go toe-to-toe with anywhere in the country. But overall, as a collective, it is the wealthiest, most affluent majority Sun County in the country. Okay? By far. This is where all the people who fled D.C. in the 80s, and then again in the 90s, and then again in the 2000s, different waves of people fleeing violence and crime and despair in the nation's capital, and they came to Prince George's County. A lot of, great communities. I mean, nice areas here in Prince George's. A lot of ebony wealth. A lot of sun wealth out there.
We are back with a family tragedy in Prince George's County. A 15-year-old boy is accused of killing his mother and 8-year-old brother.
His father was also shot last night, and in a Fox 5 exclusive, our Sierra Fox spoke with him. Well, this is where investigators say a 15-year-old boy shot and killed his own mother and brother. I just spoke with his father on the phone. He's actually serving in the United States Army. He's a real estate agent and pastor, and says his own son shot him twice. He just got out of surgery. As you can imagine, he's in a lot of pain right now, but wanted to tell me what happened.
The TV was on. I just heard these pop sounds. I thought it was a TV, and I looked to my right, and I noticed that my son was shooting my wife across the room. And then he shot my 8-year-old. And then I realized what was happening. I jumped up to confront him, and he turned the gun and shot me twice. And I seen that the gun went empty, and he threw it down. I chased him to the front door, and I grabbed him, but I couldn't grab my right hand because it was broken.
Yeah, this man, this father, his wife, his 13-year-old daughter, his 18-year-old son, his 18-year-old son, baby mother, and their unborn child were all executed by this guy, his other son, because he told his son that he had to come in the house. His son was hanging out with a girl. He told us it was late. It was like 12. He told his son that he had to come in the house. Son called an Uber home, got home, got a gun, shot his 13-year-old sister, shot his brother as he begged for his life, shot his brother's baby mother, went to his parents' bedroom, shot them, shot his other brother, 15-year-old brother, but the brother ran out the house, got away, and was able to flee and passed out in somebody's yard, and he was found, and he was the one who was able to identify his other brother as the killer. But yeah, this is something that when I was a kid, all that stuff that white people do, man. That stuff that gliders do, man. They kill their parents, man. That's what they do, man. We don't do stuff like that. Well, it's not true. It's not true. So many Sun men have killed their moms over the last few years that we've done stories on. And before that, we didn't have the reach, the internet, to be able to find out all stories outside of our own area. Now you can find out stories all over the country because of the internet, YouTube, things like that. But and this was Indianapolis last year. This story got zero coverage outside of my channel. Now back to PG County. Something's going on. I'm telling you, man. We're on the national stage. We're on stage right now, son people. And look at what we're showing the world, man. You can't tell me that these two families I just talked about, the one in Indianapolis and this one in Prince George's County, those kids were well taken care of. Those kids never missed a meal. Those boys had parents that cared where they were at. Wanted them in the house at night and off the streets. Provided houses for them. And these guys still killed the whole family. Or tried to. Where's poverty in that? Oh, we're going to blame the gun. I forgot. It's the gun's fault.
The TV was on. I just heard these pop sounds. I thought it was a TV, and I looked to my right, and I noticed that my son was shooting my wife across the room. And then he shot my 8-year-old. And then I realized what was happening. I jumped up to confront him, and he turned the gun and shot me twice. And I seen that the gun went empty, and he threw it down. I chased him to the front door, and I grabbed him, but I couldn't grab my right hand because it was broken.
Mr. Oxley says when his son ran out the door, he dialed 911 and tried to render aid to his wife, 44-year-old Talidia Oxley, and son, 8-year-old Aza Oxley, but they didn't make it. Here's surveillance video from a neighbor. This is when Prince George's County Police found the 15-year-old suspect in the neighborhood last night after the deadly shooting that happened just before 6 in the evening on Windy Street in Clinton, Maryland. Mr. Oxley's 2-year-old was asleep on the floor during the violence, and 19-year-old son was upstairs in his room. Both of them are alive. He says his son, who is the suspect, is named Israel Oxley and is a student at Frederick Douglass High School. Police say he is charged with first and second degree murder, first and second degree attempted murder, and other related charges. Neighbors say it just shows you never know what's going on behind closed doors.
They were actually pretty good people. They were quiet. They really stayed to themselves. You didn't hear a lot from them. The kids were not rambunctious or anything running through the neighborhood. So it's just unfortunate that this happened. I know they have a long road ahead of them.
And that's how a lot of these communities are in Prince George's County, man. Good families, good kids, good son people, man. Good son people, man. Woke, super woke. You know, anytime career criminal thug in D.C. gets punched by a cop while resisting arrest, these people are the first to protest and make a fuss about it. But nevertheless, these people, they have survivor's guilt because they've made quality lives for themselves out here. They have these nice homes, bunch of cars in the driveway. They take trips every year. Their kids go to private school. And, you know, they feel guilty about that. So, yeah, they're very, BLM is heavy out here, you know. But nevertheless, these are good, solid people, man. If you're not talking politics, good people, man. You know, very educated, very nice, very educated, very, you know, they understand the way the world works. I'll put it like that. You understand you got to get this certificate, you got to get that degree, you got to be in this fraternity, you got to be in this, you know, a Mason or in this Elks Lodge, you got to, you know, link up with this, you got to go get a job here, you got to, they understand the way the world works out there.
They were actually pretty good people. They were quiet. They really stayed to themselves. You didn't hear a lot from them. The kids were not rambunctious or anything running through the neighborhood. So it's just unfortunate that this happened. I know they have a long road ahead of them.
You may be wondering, why did this 15-year-old allegedly turn violent on his own family? Well, his father tells me back in October, his son threatened to kill him with a knife, and police responded to their home. After that, he was sent to stay with his grandma. They just let him live back at the home again after Thanksgiving, with restrictions such as limiting his cell phone and internet use.
Hold on, man. He tried to kill dad with a knife. Was sent to live with grandma. If you try to kill me with a knife, I'm not sending you to live with my mother. You crazy? You on a boot camp or something? These people got money. Should have sent them to boot camp. Military school or something. Sent them to live with your mama? Then he comes back on Thanksgiving. And now you gonna be all hard on him? You telling the millennial? I'd have just, honestly, I would have just let him have all the internet and phone he wanted. You got this angry boy with all this anger inside of him with nowhere to diffuse it. I'd have gave him all the internet and video games. You brought him back in there on punishment after he just tried to kill you, and your response to him trying to kill you wasn't to get him put in juvie or boot camp or military school or a receiving home. Yours was to send him and live with your mama who gonna spoil him and coddle him. And then you gonna play tough guy when he comes back. And not to fault the parents or anything like that. Just as I get how parents think, but you gotta understand these kids are so tight. Like a cell phone is like part of their body. The internet is like part of their brain. Taking their internet away and their cell phone away is like basically like maiming them. They're different than us, where it's like, well, not me, because I'm a social media influencer. It's the same way with me, but a normal person from my generation, they could probably take that a little better, but somebody who's 15, 16, taking away the internet is like water. Like, it's like telling him he can't get a drink of water out of the faucet, or he can't turn the lights on. The internet is part of life. It's like, it's just part of life. Like, you might as well took his bed, or, told him he can't eat. It's just part of life. It's like air to them, the internet. They don't know a time. They don't know like the old CDs with 999 hours, dial up. You want to load up something to take an hour to load something. They don't know about that. They just know boop, 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 boop. So that was a bad idea for the parents. That was a mistake on their part. Not saying they deserved it. In no way am I saying they deserved what happened. It was just a mistake, a miscalculation.
You may be wondering, why did this 15-year-old allegedly turn violent on his own family? Well, his father tells me back in October, his son threatened to kill him with a knife, and police responded to their home. After that, he was sent to stay with his grandma. They just let him live back at the home again after Thanksgiving, with restrictions such as limiting his cell phone and internet use. His father thinks that made him upset, and he was also hanging out with the wrong crowd.
These drugs that these kids are getting on is onto their state of mind, their social media. They hanging out with their friends, and if there's an issue, get it addressed right away. We tried to get it addressed right away. We just couldn't seem to get the right help.
So he was hanging with the wrong crowd. The same thing with the kid in Indianapolis that I featured earlier in this story. He was a gangster rapper. He made videos and everything. So that both of these kids were on the wrong path. And yes, there's really nothing that you can do in these situations. I mean, what can you do, man? What can you do? He said they didn't get the right help. I'm hoping that they saying they didn't get the right help and not that they didn't get the right help, if you know what I mean. But it's just a sad situation.
There's an issue, get it addressed right away. I mean, we tried to get it addressed right away. We just couldn't seem to get the right help.
The father there says that the gun used in this tragedy was his and it was registered. He says he forgives his son, but wants him to be held responsible. Back to you.